let's talk about Tiffany D Jackson because she is quite the author. I did a review catalog for my goal for this year for N.K. Jemisin, but we're going to do a little bit different this time because I've read every single YA book that Tiffany D Jackson has written, and I am going to rate them in order of my most favorite to it's not necessarily my least favorite because I enjoyed every single one of these books. Um, they were all emotional, like they evoke some type of emotion, which I just simply loved how Tiffany D Jackson did it. So we're gonna start with my favorite, which was The Weight of Blood. And I'm gonna put these behind here. So, The Weight of Blood was my most favorite Tiffany D Jackson book. I simply love this one because it is a type of Carrie retelling. If you didn't know, Tiffany D Jackson is a huge Stephen King fan. I grew up on the original Carrie and simply loved that movie. The remake of the Carrie movie, it was cool, but the original, chef's kiss. But this is a retelling, and the way Tiffany D Jackson put her twist on it was simply amazing. So the main character is a biracial child, or I'll say teenager in this case, because she's a teenager, and she has lived her life as a white girl, but she never knew that she was biracial. She never knew her mom, and come to find out, her mom is actually black. There's a whole little thing about her mom in the book, and she actually lives with her dad. So the dad is, of course, white, and he pretty much tells her you're white. There's nothing to it. So when I think of the main character, I feel like she's was like super light skinned to the point where you really couldn't tell. And it just sucks the way that she was treated. She was the outcast, um, as in this case, a passing white, even though she didn't know. And then once she realized and found out that she was actually half white, half black, it was crazy. Like everything just went to hell from there. But what I will say is, um, if you watch the movie Carrie, think of the prom scene. Now they didn't do pig blood or anything, but the prom scene is in here, and there is the telekinesis power and everything, but again, it has a different spin on it as it brings forward racism, bigotry, discrimination, colorism, just all types of emotions and things that black people have dealt with and continue to deal with. So I simply love this one. This was definitely one of my favorites. And then next up, we have Allegedly. So, Allegedly says it all in the title. This was my second favorite. I ate this book up because the main character in this book, she went through a lot. Like her life has been hell from the get go, and there's something. So the main character is Mary, um, in this one, and Mary allegedly unalived the baby. Allegedly, again, allegedly. And when I tell you, when the details transpired within this book of what actually happened, I was like, what? This book was definitely a page turner. If you haven't read this yet, I definitely say go ahead and read it. this was a fantastic thriller. It really got you to thinking about different things that was happening within the book. It did bring light. So this is something else to keep in mind about Tiffany D Jackson. She always brings light something dealing with systematic like injustice. So, weight of blood, racism, discrimination, um, just the pure craziness behind that, and being a black woman or a black man or a black child, period. This one tells you how crappy the foster care system is. And it was crazy. It was for sure crazy. Um, this one was definitely a must read. Like all these Tiffany D Jackson books that I'm about to go over, read every single one of them. Read them all. So then my next one that I just simply enjoyed was White Smoke. White Smoke. All I'm gonna say is bed bugs. If you, yeah, if you don't like bed bugs or reading about it, you probably will be, you gonna feel a type of way about this one. But this was a great, like, soft horror type book. And this dealt with gentrification, redlining. Like, it was pure craziness. This one follows a black family that moves from their like hometown in Cali, and they move over to this whole like little small town. And the neighborhood that they excuse me, that they end up living in is predominantly black. Cool. Now here's when things kind of get creepy, because there's some stuff going on in their new home. The history behind their home that they move into is simply crazy, and it really makes you look at the system within itself, because that happens. It happens. I'm not going to ruin it. I'm not going to spoil it for you. Just read the book and you'll know what I'm talking about. I also feel like with this book, you are introduced, like if you never really had to deal with redlining or gentrification, this book introduces you to it. And the way that they treated these black people in this town and what they did to them was crazy. To me, straight up, just, I feel like illegal, and something needs to be done to them is all I'm gonna say. But this was a great book because it just introduced you to different elements dealing with, redlining, gentrification, and community. Like, at some point, when are we going to band together? When are we going to take a stand against the system and what's been put into place to keep a lot of us down, like the minorities down? What are we going to do about it? This book was really good because it had, to me, like this historical element to it, and it played on some history, or like historical points from what happened like back in the day, unfortunately. But still a good book. Deep when you really get into it, and once you finish the book, it really still makes you think. So I continue to still think about this book. Even though I read it last year, I still think about this book because it was good, but it was simply crazy because it continues to happen, unfortunately. And then next up, this is one that you'll see circulate, or you've probably seen circulating around quite some time. Monday's Not Coming. I'm not going to go too much into this book. It is number 4 on my list, but again, like I said, these are just my rankings of how I loved each and every one of them. I simply enjoyed each and every one of these. So, Monday's Not Coming was very emotional for me. It has to deal with a little girl, or I should say a middle schooler. She ain't a little girl, but middle schooler, and she's dealing with trying to figure out what happened to her best friend. Why hasn't her best friend come back from summer break? And she goes on this riveting like detective work journey to figure out what happened. And the things that unravel within the story is just simply heartbreaking. I about cried. I did shed a couple tears because it was sad. And I don't normally cry on books. I don't cry. But this one, it was so sad. Like, it was so sad. Now, I will warn you, the way that this book is written, so the way that Tiffany D Jackson wrote this one, um, the chapters are not like chapter 1, 2, 3. It's gonna be labeled the before. I'm going through it just to give y'all an idea. So the before, pretty much before the events, the after, so the after effects of the event, 1 year before the before. So I know some people's like complaints about this book is they got lost, but you have to really read the chapter title to put your mind, like take your mind to the before, pretty much. Like, this is where we're at now, this is the after, this is the before. Yeah, to me, I was able to easily, like, move around, bounce around and stuff. Again, check your trigger warnings with this one for sure. This one's triggering. I'd say allegedly could be triggering too, but this one, out of all her books, this one and Grown are triggering. So next up is Grown. Let's get into the cover real quick because this cover is fire. This one is about the industry and how kids and teenagers are taken advantage of in the industry. And that could be sexually, that could be mentally, that could be physically. They're taken advantage of if the parents don't have a watchful eye on them. And that's pretty much what happened in this book. The parents, I feel like, dropped the ball on some points with their daughter. And I can understand why they wanted to give her this freedom to be within the industry. But, yeah. Now, with this book, I'm not going to say this person's name, but do kind of, once you read between the lines, it's about a certain star that was in the news, R&B singer. That's all I'm going to say. But this one follows Corey Fields is the R&B artist, and then Enchanted Jones is the teenager that was taken advantage of. Now, this one, check your triggers also, because yeah, this book got wowed. It got wowed. But I ate this book up also because if you remember the Nick at Night documentary and what those kids went through, this, yeah. Again, check your triggers. Check them. But this one, it was good. It was good. You follow the journey of Enchanted Jones, and you are rooting for her to become this famous singer, to make it, and to just help herself and help her future, and to also help her family, and stuff. But yeah. Now, Tiffany D Jackson did do some acknowledgments and author notes in here. I did read the author's note, and I'll say this, a lot of us were victims because we were teenagers dealing with grown men, and them grown men knew what they was doing, and they shouldn't have been in a relationship with us. Tiffany D Jackson does touch on that because it happened to her. So, give this book a go. Read it. Simply fantastic. And then last but not least, we have Let Me Hear a Rhyme. This one is last on my list, but not because it's a terrible read, because it was not. Trying to do this list in order, do my ranking was very hard because each of these books brought something different to the table. So Let Me Hear a Rhyme. If you are a music fanatic like I am, I love me some R&B and some hip hop, all things music, except for some certain genres, but that's me. This one taps into your 80s, 90s type feel. So, this does take place in New York. I love this book. It was one of those good thrillers, because it is a thriller. So don't let the cover fool you. Don't let it fool you. Don't let it fool you. Because I kind of went into this book not blind, but not really knowing what I was going to get myself into. And this book it was good. Like, it was really good because you got to go on this journey of these best friends trying to figure out who unalived their best friend. And then come to find out, he was a rapper. So now they're on another journey, aside from trying to figure out who unalived their best friend. They're now trying to figure out, okay, how can we get him a record deal so we can help his family out? When I tell you these kids was selfless, because I would have never thought about that stuff to be like, oh, let's do a fake, if one of my friends was unalived and there was a rapper, hey, let's try and get him a record deal so we can help their family out. I wouldn't have had the brains to do that. Like, I wouldn't have thought about that. So for them to think about their best friend's mom and sibling was simply amazing. And it got dangerous. It did get dangerous because this took place in New York, but also it does reference when Biggie Smalls was unalived. Excuse me. But this one it was really good. So I don't really see a lot of people talking about this one. And y'all need to read this one. This one's good. All of them are good. But you got to read this one too. But yeah. This was pure hip hop vibes. Like, it was good. It was a good vibe. But yeah. I'm at a loss for words right now. But read all of these. Read them all. Read them all. Let me know if you have read any of these, because yes, you should read them all. Now, I don't have an order in which you should read them in, because just go in. Just go for it. None of them are connected either, but I'll start there too. So they're all standalones. But yeah, that is my combo and push for y'all to read Tiffany D Jackson books. Go out and read them. Like I said, she does have a book coming out this summer. I cannot wait to read that book. I can't wait. The cover is so fire. So fire. I cannot wait. But let me know in the comments which one you have read and which one you gonna read next. Yes.